help us, if you want to give us your insights, please, you could raise up your hand. I'm going to unmute the mic and you can share with me what you think digital transformation is. So anybody want to try? So anybody from the call, what do you understand by digital transformation? You could just raise your hand and I'd let you know. Okay, Ben said he's knowledgeable, used ERP to streamline SEM processes. Any other person, what is digital transformation? So I think Ben is the ERP guy. Ben, you want to share with us what you think digital transformation is? Let me just. Yep. Any other person want to try? What is digital transformation?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben. You're my ERP man,
Okay.
so yes, let me know.
Yeah. Well, good evening from my side in Australia. It's almost
Awesome.
midnight here. Yeah.
Okay.
So ERP or digital transformation is when you use things like ERP to streamline your processes, maybe your payment processes, your inventory processes. Or for me, I'm coming from a manufacturing background. So
Okay.
I'll say your supply chain processes. You have some
Awesome.
paperwork you want to convert to digital form so that it makes it easier, and also you lose all those papers so that you can easily trace your system, because it's very difficult to be looking for invoices you gave out maybe 6 months ago. But when it's on the system, you can just look it up and then you'll find it. So that is digital transformation. Then I'm
Awesome.
explaining it to
Awesome.
a layman.
Please, that's what we need here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Emmanuel, you want to give us your understanding? Please go ahead. Yeah, you can. Emmanuel, you can speak now. We can hear you if you're speaking. Think you have muted your mic. Hi, Emmanuel. Can you hear us? You can use the chat. Okay. Sorry, we can barely hear you, but we know your mic is up. Um, Hi, Folake. You want to? While we wait for Emmanuel. Okay. Ernest has pressed the chat.
Yes, I really appreciated what our brother from Australia said. You need something,
Okay.
you can look it up. That is digital uh, transformation. And I can say you want to improve your operations, your business processes, your users' experience,
Mhm.
and you want to bring in innovation.
Okay.
Gone are the days that we start with huge paper, you don't even know where to begin from.
Mhm.
But now on your system, and even with the AI era, your
Mhm.
agent will tell you this is what you have in stake, this is what you have to do today, this is on red. You can see your dashboard, and that is why I cap it up or summarize it as a way bringing technology into your business process. Your process is there, nothing
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
changing it.
Mhm.
But now you want to improve, you want to buy time, you want to bring innovation to that thing that you are doing. So that is
Awesome.
digital transformation.
Thank you very, very much for that care. Emmanuel, I know your hands are still being raised, but unfortunately, we can't hear you speak. If you can speak now, we'll be fine. Okay. Kelechi says he's having issues with his laptop. You can join with your phone. Ernest said here that it's about using technology to improve efficiency in business operations and it helps to automate repetitive tasks. Thank you very much, Ernest, for that very basic understanding or explanation. Now, before we go into the definition, because for me, I like hearing people's opinion, or I like people speaking from their hearts, because most times um, your understanding is, if you're able to explain this to a layman, then you actually understand basically what it is. That's one of the true tests for it. Before we move into the next session, and before I explain into details what digital transformation is, we're going to have one of our speakers. I'm going to invite Dr. Folake to really, because this is a session where we want to hear from people who have been involved in digital transformation journeys before. So the first thing is really around, she's going to help us share what she understands by digital transformation, which she has actually done. The next thing will be, we want to hear from somebody who has been involved in a digital transformation journey before. So this basically going to span for 5 minutes. So what was the project? What were the challenges? What solution did you deploy? What was the impact and benefits? And what lessons did you learn from that journey? So Folake, Dr. Folake, I'm going to give you the floor. Just 5 minutes to share your experience about digital transformation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you once again, and thank you, everyone. My experience or my journey so far in digital transformation, I can say I'm a baby, but because of my first career, I entered into the digital transformation and I started running as a baby. Please, you pardon, within 2 minutes or maximum 3, I will just give you my background briefly. You already mentioned that I have PhD in food quality and design from Wageningen University in the Netherlands.
Okay.
And before then, I've worked in food industries in Nigeria, Leventis to be precise. I rose to the level of assistant quality control manager before moving into academic as a lecturer in Nigeria.
Okay.
Now, this is where I'm going. After my PhD, I noticed that the world is turning towards digital transformation. The world is turning towards IT. How will I fit in? What can I do? Then I started asking people around me, tell me, can I go for data analytics? Can I do this? There's somebody mentioned SAP. And that is how the journey began. Of course, it took me like between September 2022 and May 2023 before I could even get someone that would train me. And after the training, I joined industry. Within few months, I rose to the position I am today as application manager. So my experience now came in during the training.
Okay.
During the training, I was opportune to implement a project that involved EMEA. By the time you people are fully, especially the few ones that I said, okay, they are new in ERP, some of these terms will be clearer to you. EMEA, we are talking about Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So it involves implementation of a new SAP for a business that has branches in EMEA region. Of course, for Africa, it was South Africa and Nigeria. For Middle East, it was Dubai and Israel, and Europe, Netherlands, Belgium. So now, somebody that is new, coming from food, and now want to implement SAP. And when we talk about implementation, we are talking about millions of euros. And if anything goes wrong, there is problem. But because of the soft skill that I was bringing, even during that project, I acted as a Scrum Master, even though I had no IT experience before. But my manager was like, you can do it. We can see it in you, that you only need a push, you only need a guide. Okay. Let's see. Then started organizing sprint meetings, started writing business documentation, attending stakeholder meetings. And yeah, to the glory of God, it went well. But of course, there are a lot of challenges, especially for people like me. I want to deliver, so I have to do extra homework. And even till now, I'm still doing it because I cannot be an application manager covering 9 countries in Europe and I will not be able to deliver. So sometimes it will involve you going back, checking the problem of the day and looking at how to solve it before the next meeting. Not only that, now connecting different departments in one system. Let's say SAP, for instance. You want to connect the purchasing to sales and distribution, then finance, which is the core, and you want to bring quality management also into it. We are talking about hundreds, if not thousands of end users that are involved. So sometimes bringing these people together could be challenging. And from the onset, of course, if you're able to interpret the business need and requirements and you have people at C-level at the beginning, it may go well, but after going live too, the end user that will be using the system every day, they will still fall back to you. That is why at this very moment, I'm focused more on, as a functional consultant, helping the end user day after day. Something will definitely go wrong. Somebody is raising PO, instead of filling in material, the person put it in at service. At the end of the day, they receive it, but they could not pay. Donny is coming, we have to pay. So problem will keep coming. That there will be someone to solve it for this organization, even after implementing the project. And that is why I said, blow the trumpet, bring more people into this digital transformation journey. Everybody will have a place. Everybody, there is a place for everyone. So that is one few challenges. Then another one is the real-time visibility into the financial and operational data. Sometimes when you don't understand the business process itself, it becomes, how will I call it? Can I call it nightmare? Even for you as a consultant. And there are some organizations that they use more than one ERP. That's something good also about SAP. They allow non-SAP application to be integrated into SAP application. I don't know if some of us in the house have heard about what we call Salesforce. I will type it. There are some businesses that they will start their process, maybe lead, conversion of lead into opportunity. They will start it in the Salesforce platform. Then with process management application, everything that is done on Salesforce will be moved to SAP, and another department, which is finance, we pick it up from there. So this, if you don't understand how such business operates, then it becomes difficult. So understanding business process is also another thing. And if you want to go far in the journey, no matter how little, even if it is introduction into accounting, because I also suffer from that. I'm talking from my own experience. I started as someone who studied food science and tech, food quality and assurance, food quality and design, no knowledge of accounts, and now I'm in SAP. So I have to go and learn little, understand what do you mean by closing an account, what is balance sheet, what is account payable, what is account receivable. I learned them from the scratch. And I'm happy. Something about us in Africa is we are very strong. If they show us, okay, this is how to get this done, we don't give up until we get it done. So it is doable. All this grammar that I'm blowing, I learned them in less than 3 years, and yeah, I'm doing well in it. And I've seen people also in the field that will say, oh, I studied music or dancing as my first career or history, and now I'm in IT. I'm talking about the Europeans. So if people are doing it here, then we back home in Africa, then we can, irrespective of our background. If someone from music is now SAP consultant, or someone from dancing is now work me SAP consultant, then you and I can do it. So we have no excuse. Then solution that I've deployed, I think I've mentioned that implementation of SAP, and also the example that I gave earlier about Salesforce integration with SAP is happening currently in my company. In fact, during the interview, they made it clear to me that fine, we could see that you specialize in SAP, but we use Salesforce. How do you intend to help our end user? And of course, I made it clear to them. I learned SAP within a few months, and I'm doing well there. I gave the example that I gave you earlier about the implementation in EMEA, and I could act even as a Scrum Master. That so it's a matter of you. If you are ready to train me, I'm open to it. And now you see me handling Salesforce issue as if I got trained somewhere. No, I learned it within the business and I'm using it. So integration with Salesforce and SAP is part of the solution. Then there is no way we'll talk about ERP also. Let us remember some of these ticketing program like Jira, like Top Desk, because when some issues are coming in some organization, they pass it through their Jira. They send it to you through Top Desk tickets. You pick it up, then you reply to them through the same means, especially in this era of working from home, that you are there in Africa, you are supporting a business in London, or I'm here in Netherlands, I'm supporting a business in Canada. So it has to pass through a particular system or solution. So I could mention Jira, Top Desk, SAP, Salesforce. And for the role, of course, my major role presently is to support the end user. So let me wrap it up with the benefits so that I won't bore you with more story. We have time to network later. Of course, improvement in my reporting, then accuracy and speed. Even though as a researcher, I have the background of documentation, but I've learned more when it comes to accuracy and speed. When you have projects, you have deadline, you have what to do per quarter, per sprint, and you have to meet up. Then better decision making, especially in this era that we have real-time dashboard. As that brother said, not that is hiding somewhere. You can see the graph, you can see the bar chart, you can take the decision easily. Then I'm now more efficient in cross-functional collaboration. If somebody is talking from sales, I know where you are coming from. If you are talking from purchasing, supply chain management, I could fit in. So that's cross-functional collaboration. Unlike my first career that I was within the scientific circle, I can talk about food microbiology, we can talk of food physics, food chemistry, but then if you bring something about finance to me, I'm lost. And finally, the lesson learned is that transformation, especially digital transformation, it must be user-driven. It must come from you or from the organization. It's not just an IT-led issue. Then consistent training. You don't say after this training, I've had it all. Things are changing. Every now and then, if we look at the history of SAP that I'm specialized in, from R to ECC, now we are talking of S4HANA, we are shouting, even their agents. So things are changing. So you must be open to training. People around me keep saying, what else do you want? I say, this training will keep on till the end of life. If you want to be relevant, that is the fact. And sometimes people scared you that, oh, Amazon laid down one 100,000 staff, booking.com, this. Ask yourself, those people, did they improve themselves in the system? I got my certification after getting a job and after even rising in a job. I didn't say because I'm now a manager, I will relax. Then I told myself, this is just the beginning. If you have time and you read my post on LinkedIn, I wrote my certification exam on Mother's Day when people should be celebrating. But I know I just have to grow. Of course, some of these things, people don't see it. They only see the sources. This is an opportunity to tell ourselves the truth. And sometimes also when we bring people from Africa, from Asia, they find it difficult to fit in into European way of working or Canadian way of working because sometimes we feel relaxed. No, the higher it is, then the more it is requested from you. And yes, maybe during question and answer, or if there is any other opportunity, I will talk more. So let me just pause for now.
Thank you very, very much, Doc, for taking your time to speak passionately about your journey. And I think I've picked one or two things from there, and I noted down some things really because no two persons' journey is the same, and it's quite remarkable how you transition from really a space that has nothing had nothing to do with IT, maybe not majorly, to a large system like SAP. I can imagine the amount of effort you have put into being where you are today. So I want to say um, congratulations and thank you for sharing those insights to us. Of course, I picked really things around understanding business processes, supporting integrations, using different tools like Jira, there is Azure DevOps, there is TopDex, and the rest of them. And of course, working cross-functionally, working across teams, which is very, very important if you would stay within the ERP environment. And I mean, it's quite interesting because why we needed to do this was to encourage others. Because I would say that just like in the Bible, they say um the harvest is many, but we have very few laborers. It's the same thing, really. And one of my heartbeat is that when we are done with this session, some of us will really take up the challenge and start their journey. The space is very, very I would say rewarding if you can, sit down and start the journey. I'll have some time to also talk about my journey and how I really got into this space and really how how just being a certified SAP consultant transformed my life. And then when I was in Nigeria, I started getting calls from people like LNG, KPMG. I got a call from Shell once to, I turned down very great offers, but these were companies that would not dare even because I didn't have much to offer before then. And also very interesting when I relocated to the UK, how just in the space of 1 week I got jobs and I kept getting jobs ever since. But it started with one decision to really invest. It was demanding. I spent some money. Those who have done certification will know how much you have to spend, but at the end of the day, we have shortage of consultants even in Nigeria as we speak. I still have people reach out to me from Nigeria for projects. So wherever you are in the world, ERP or digital transformation is something that is globally relevant. It's not limited to your country. It's not limited to your state. Anywhere you find yourself, you can really, a skill in digital transformation using any of those tools can really set you apart. And if you don't believe, Doc, just believe me. Some of you know me personally, but believe that where I started from, it was one decision that actually, gave me that helped me, and of course, thanks to God. But paying that price and sitting down and getting those certificates. I remember some years back, even when I did my certification, I resigned from work and got support from family. So for about 8 months, I was with SAP just learning. And I think I got 4 certifications outside that. Immediately I did that and stepped out. I mean, doors just started opening even in I was in Nigeria and started earning euros, as a consultant. And why I'm sharing this is not to brag, but just to motivate all of us, to say that, I mean, if you look at other continents like the Indians, they support themselves a lot. I mean, if you come to the IT space, they are hungry. They have constantly kept learning. And any IT project you go to, any ERP, you see the Indians. And I think there's that support they get from their fellow countrymen helps them a lot. And I think we in Africa, we need to really step up. We need to start seeing ourselves as that global. We need to upskill ourselves to compete globally, and we need to encourage each other really on the journey to supporting large organizations around the world. I've tried to reach out to the next person would have been our next Peter Kelechi, but I think he's having a lot of issues with his mic. I'd love him to speak, but unfortunately, he has tried times without number to sort out the mic issue. I don't know. It's been difficult from here. Uh, uh, yeah. Sorry about that. I think from our end, everything looks good. Yep. Okay, now let's move to the next thing. And so thank you very much, Doc, again for sharing those lovely insights. Now let's go really into the topic for the day and let's learn really just get some things back, some things to think about when we are done from this meeting and how we can start our journey. But passionately, I am really I'm really hopeful and praying that um, you take this course seriously. It's just one thing that can transform your life if you work on it. It's something that has transformed mine. Of course, you have heard also from Doug. I wish Arikibe spoke. He's also doing very well in Canada for himself, and for me, this session is just to create that awareness. And what you do with that awareness is really up to you. But I need to push out this. It's like a burden. I need to push this out to everybody. I feel like people should know, people should be aware. But when it comes to making that decision, of course, I cannot force anybody to. Now, let's look at digital transformation, really, what it is in a very wider context. Now, digital transformation is in IT context because there are not so many contextual meaning of digital transformation. It refers to strategic adoption. So it's not just adoption, but that adoption needs to be strategic. And hopefully, in the next few minutes, we'll be going for a break. But it's basically looking at strategic adoption of digital technologies to fundamentally change how organizations operate, how they deliver value, and how they respond to market demands. So you can see the very key points there, strategic adoption. So when it comes to digital transformation, strategy is very important. And that's one of the issues we have with people who have adopted digital transformation without having a well-structured and defined strategy on how to use that transformation to drive the change they're looking for. So we have a lot of failed digital transformation projects. It's not digital transformation projects, it's not the digital transformation that is faulty, but the fact that in adopting it, you have to be very strategic. Digital transformation will bring about change. It's one of the fundamentals of digital transformation is that it will change how you work, the way you work, and how you see results, and how output. So one very cardinal thing about digital transformation is the fact that effective change management is important. People need to be open-minded to change. They need to adopt it because when it comes, it will change the way people work. It will change the way systems work. It will actually impact business processes. So change is very, very important when you talk about digital transformation. Another very key cardinal thing is the value it delivers. Of course, most of us knew how, some of us that were in Nigeria and Africa knew how difficult it was going to the bank to withdraw money. I mean, in those days, in the 90s, early 2000s, I mean, you could virtually queue, stay in the bank for hours trying to withdraw, even as small as, if I use USD, for example, as little as 5 USD or 1 USD or whatever. But to withdraw any money from the bank, you had to queue and spend hours of productive time in the bank. Now, let's look at the introduction of ATMs. ATMs actually were introduced quite late in Africa, really. But you see how ATMs transformed the way we did banking. So right now, of course, once we introduced ATM, it changed a lot within the banking system. So I mean, it reduced the crowd you have to find in the banks. Gave people different options on how they want to use their money. Because of the crowd, then you would withdraw a lot more you don't need because you don't want to go back again. And you have people keeping cash in homes, and you have that triggering armed robbery and other social vices. But with ATMs, you could withdraw as little as you want, and of course keep the rest. And of course, it created opportunities. We had started having ATM engineers, ATM software developers. We had the IT demand for ATMs, and the fact that there's a software that runs on those applications, there are hardwares that need to be maintained. You see how introduction of ATM changed the landscape of banking. And that's just to give you an insight into what digital transformation is, because I didn't want to go too far. It's as much as even our phones. Before now, I think early 2000, when we started having mobile phones in Africa, really, is how difficult it was to make a call across to somebody, or to send a message, or to communicate. It was very difficult. Then, of course, only few rich people could afford the phone. But see technology, how phones have transformed the way we communicate. In fact, it has gone to different levels as we speak. But just imagine how difficult it was communicating before phones, and how the technology of telephone has transformed the way we work, the way we live, the way we communicate, the way we manage relationships, and all that. So it's also another example of digital transformation. But the key thing here is the change, the value it delivers, and the fact that sometimes it responds to demand. So most of the changes we see are from customers' demand. So let's say, for example, the bank. Why would ATMs come to banking? Because customers were complaining that it was very difficult to do banking, because of the long queues and hours you spend in the bank. So that triggered people to start thinking about introducing ATMs. Of course, we have left ATMs now. We have POS machines everywhere. So you see that digital transformation is something that will live with us till we leave this earth. I mean, wants and needs and demands will never go away. So I aligned very well with what Doc said, that it's a life of continuous learning. AI is another thing. I don't want to even go into that place, because that's another space where, I mean, there's a lot of demand for people. The demand in countries for, and those who have that transformation, who has this digital transformation skills, is so massive that some countries cannot meet up with the demand. Things are happening very fast, but fewer people are are changing quickly to those demands. But let's move forward. Now, another thing you must know about digital transformation is that it involves rethinking business processes, very, very important, culture, customer experience, by leveraging modern IT tools such as cloud computing, artificial intelligence, ERP system, big data, and automation. So, of course, and just like change is the only constant thing, the way we do business in the 90s is different from the way we did business in 2000. It's different from the way we did business now. So change will always happen, and there will be people who need to drive this change. And you see how that's why the IT industry has definitely far outweigh the oil and gas industry in terms of, in terms of opportunities and value. It's IT is the most, um, it's not, it tops number one in terms of opportunities for value. And the richest people in the world you can see now are not those in oil and gas, they're actually those in IT. And because the space is very innovative, innovation happens every day. I was looking at something yesterday. A young man invented a shoe where when you walk, the shoe charges your phone. It's crazy. There are a lot of innovations happening around the world, and it will never stop. So we are lucky to be in the generation that is witnessing these transformations. Of course, our parents cannot do these things again. Their time has they are resting now, but we're young now, and this is our time to actually align quickly before some of us actually also start aging, because the way the pace of change is so fast that if you cannot catch up, you're already old in this century. You're already very old if you cannot catch up with the pace of change that is happening in the society and in the world. Now let's look at role for digital transformation in enabling change um, within an organization. We'll look at some just key points, and for the sake of time, I might not be able to discuss on them. But one is process automation. Process automation is one of the very important, major change we're seeing. Things around, RPA, robotic process engineering, of course, massive AI work, and a lot of tools right now that can, technologies that can automate processes. So process automation basically uses technology to simplify and accelerate manual tasks, enabling efficiency and consistency across operations. Manual way of working was, it's something that is fast living, this time and age. So process automation is one of those digital transformation tools or systems that can drive change within an organization. The fact that if you spend 2 hours, documenting a process, in fact, when we do process improvement, we pick a particular process end to end, and we see how automation can shorten the time and speed up, processes within an organization when we do process improvement or process reengineering. So those areas that take people a lot of time and effort, we need to, the task was to bring in process automation to those areas. And that's one way digital transformation is enabling change. Secondly, is the concept of single source of truth. The fact that we don't want different systems doing different things in different areas. I'll give you an example. If you work in a company where sales department use their own system, um, operations have their own system, inventory management have their own system, finance are sitting somewhere with their own system, HR has payroll somewhere, you can just imagine how difficult it would be to make decisions and to really see a single source of truth, to see a single view of how the company is faring. To do that, you might have to bring all these individual units together, and that will take time and effort. By the time you're doing that, a company that has single source of truth must have made decisions and moved on. So that's why the big companies will always remain big, because they are investing in technology that can help make their process smarter and help them make decisions faster. That's why big companies will, keep, improving, because that's the only way to stay ahead of your competitors. The next role for digital transformation and enabling change is data-driven decision making. Just like I've said, it will help you make decisions faster and quicker in this very fast-moving time and age. The next is integration of system. Just like Doc said, as it is, you don't have one system that can do everything, because you also have processes that you need to customize to fit a particular business need. But that process needs to be plugged in So the ability to integrate processes so that information can flow seamlessly between these systems is very, very important to driving digital transformation, because it's all about getting information quickly and making fast and data-driven decisions. The five is scalability and flexibility. Of course, by scalability, we mean using cloud-based options or AI-powered solutions, to adapt quickly to market demands quickly. And when, of course, scalable also means that as you grow in size, your transformation journey needs to be flexible enough to accommodate that growth and that future um, goal you're looking at. So it's very, very important. It's also very important to break in silos and enhancing collaboration across the business and across teams. The next is customer centric. One of the core of digital transformation is the customer, because you need to make sure, remember, like we said, meeting a need and delivering value. The customers are the center of digital transformation. They are the ones that trigger these changes, you know. And if you're in market economies where taste and change very frequently, then you would understand why it's important to make customer centered, and let the transformational journey be centered on customers, because it is their demand, it is their taste, it's their fashion, it's all those changes that triggers where businesses move to. For example, we are seeing a lot of change in the way we use phones. Yeah. Initially, the phone were just about to make and receive calls, but because of customer demand, customers needed to be able to use phone to take pictures. They asked for phones to, of course, to do much more than scan images, phones to save passwords. You need phones to do a lot more, even watch whatever you want to watch from wherever you are, and hold your bank information and do transactions for wherever you are. So those demands, those customer demands and the need, and of course, competitors are also trying to improve processes, but everything is centered on the customer, because your value as a company depends on the customer needs you're able to solve and the solutions you're able to deliver. And of course, digital transformation is also enabling change in the aspect of continuous improvement. One thing that will never remain the same is how a business works, because constantly, as long as changes are happening, you have to constantly improve your processes. You have to constantly improve how you use technology to deliver value. Eight is collaborations across teams. Of course, one of the roles that digital transformation plays in every change is that collaboration and that, what we say, cross-functional effort, because ERP is about bringing systems together so that they can work together to deliver value. So it's important that teams work collaboratively. Improving user experience is also very important. Like we said, it's all customer centric. Yeah, so this is really one of the reasons why digital transformation is changing a lot, in our workplaces and in the world out there. Now, let's see what really drives digital transformation around us and in our society, and why this will always be a thing. So if you check, one of the drivers of digital transformation is rising customer expectations. This is very, very important. We have said that digital transformation is being triggered by customer preferences and choices. So as long as customer preference change will, I mean, it will always trigger some kind of response from these organizations to also change their processes and their products. Second is technological advancement. Of course, we have AI, machine learning, robotics, and automations and all that. That alone is a trigger that drives digital transformation within businesses. We have data explosion and insights. People need to get more insight with data to help them make quicker and faster decisions. So it's not just about having information, it's how do you use that information? How can systems read those information and give you insights that will help you make decisions for the next 50 years? The next is global competition and market disruptions. Of course, there's a lot of to survive in this day and age, you have to be very highly competitive. If not, you're going to be pushed out. So that alone is what is the major driver. For example, if you look at the AI industry, for example, of course, the owner of Tesla is, we have a lot of AI models now. We have ChatGPT, we have Talk AI, we have Grok, we have a lot of them. All these are competitions because who wins the AI race in this time and age will control really how, will control a large share of the market. So you can see global competition driving digital transformation. So as watching the news last some days ago, I saw the driverless cars that Tesla just launched some 2 days ago. It's absolutely amazing. In the US, they have been test running it. It's been there, but they have actually pushed out some cars, and it's so you see that there's this, and of course we have other car makers trying to replicate same. Of course, we also saw the short war between Israel and, of course, Iran. You could see technology in display. You could see one staying on the defense and receiving and shooting down rockets. You could see the other one sending missiles that are very fast. That is also almost impossible for you to shoot them down. That is, and trust me, after this war, these two nations will sit down and start strategizing again on where where they had successes and where they had failures, and they will want to still improve on what they already have. So you see, it doesn't really end. We have the B-2 bombers from the US for the first time that dropped bombs. That's the first time we have seen that kind of aircraft and that kind of precision. But this is what digital transformation is all about, just in this sector. So you can see it will never change. If you're a country that still flies, helicopters, and in fact, let's go to the drones. You can see now that the world, it's not really about how large your army is, really. That the digital transformation has affected the military in such a way that your strength is not really about how much how many your foot soldiers are. It used to be, in those days, if you have 1 million foot soldiers, of course, you most likely can win the war. But now it's about technology. How many missiles, how many drones, because the war now is drones. So you can see that change. I mean, you don't need to even go far. You can see what digital transformation is doing, and and you can see some countries are way back, some countries are ahead, and those ones that are ahead are the ones that are controlling the affairs of the world. And there are people working for these companies. There are people who have upskilled themselves and who are delivering value for these companies. And I'd like that most of them are Africans, but unfortunately, I don't think so. That's why we need to really step up and see that a lot of changes are happening in the world right now. Of course, one of the triggers is remote and hybrid work models. Remote work has encouraged a lot of web-based applications where people can work from anywhere they are. Sustainability, ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance commitments. Cybersecurity and resilience have all are all driving digital transformation. Now now if you cannot protect your data, it's a big deal. These guys will hack and destroy your country if you don't have good cyber security and resilience. We had some companies in the UK recently that were hacked and most of their data was stolen. So you can see that all these factors are driving the need for people to actually upskill and just so for me, if you have the awareness, it's okay, right? And I believe that, like I said, you need to take the next step to decide where you want to move, how you want your career to go, what area of digital transformation you want to focus on. But there is no sitting on the fence right now in this world, or else in the next 10 years, you're gone in terms of relevance. You have to, it's a matter of urgency that we need to upskill, and we need to, as Africans, we need to really do our best to get this running. I just put in some few slides about news we have about investments in digital transformation. We have EU investing over 200 billion in AI. We have Trump announcing some very 100 billion investments. We have UK sector attracting 200 million. We have, of course, AI developments with 2.5 billion grants from Google for Nigeria. We have AI stock, going up by around 500 billion. So you can see there are a lot of investments in AI. Definitely, why not? You need AI to run drones, and drones is a major part of warfare now. So there is no the country that controls AI, according to Russian president, will win the war in this 21st century because that is the heart of technology right now. But these are just to give us some insights on what's happening around the world and where countries are investing in and how we can align or position ourselves to fit into those plans. I think I will just, before we go, we just have a very brief case study. And we're going to just run through this case study. We're going to see how this digital transformation, how it works and how it helped transform this particular organization. So this case study really is about a company we call Winjets Inc. And how had their digital transformation for it was a manufacturing company, focusing on the problems they faced and how digital transformation provided solutions. So I'm just going to run through what these issues were. Now, before digital transformation, the woes of Widgets Inc. So I'm trying to give this so you can get a very good hands-on on, so when you live here, you have no doubt that this is what digital transformation is and where you fit into this change. Now, the company was a mid-sized manufacturing company with a long history of producing specialized industrial components, founded in the 1970s. It had built a reputation for quality products, but by the late 2010s, the company was showing significant signs of strains. Very, very. Now, what were the problems really? First was the order management. So basically, for order management, you could see that customer orders came in via phone, fax, emails. They were still using manual way of receiving orders, and these were manually transcribed into spreadsheets, and paper-based forms. So it was one of the issues they had, which you can tag under inefficient operations and manual processes. For inventory management, inventory was tracked using spreadsheets, and of course they do physical counts, and they put those counts in spreadsheets and all that. It was also an issue they had